Just setting some things up. Oh, maybe if I turn the mic on. What do you think? Yeah. Let's turn the mic on. Get it over here. High tech stuff, guys. Super high tech stuff. Um, Tuesday night, back on track. And I'm sorry about last week. I had a couple things happen last week. Oh, let me get this thing there. A little bit. Sorry about last week. What happened last week? I had some things. Hi guys. Hi guys. What up, you Willis? What up, Willis? Sparky, you should probably be on here with me tonight. I invited you to 83 times, and you don't want to get on there. Because we're going to talk about rates, but we're talking about last week and apologizing because Tuesday something popped up, and then Thursday I pushed it out till Thursday, and Thursday rolled around. We'll take it out of my pay. Good luck with that. Yeah, good luck with that. You have to see Frank 3 about all that pay shit. Anyway, um, Thursday night rolled around, and something popped up then, and I just said, you know what, this ain't working this week. It ain't gonna work. So I gave up. The other thing I want to talk about a little bit before we get into rates, and we are going to get into rates. Um, the other thing I wanted to talk about is Shaggy, who's been a friend of mine for a long, long time. And I met a lot of you guys. Busy, bub. Sunday's the only day I have a second. I understand. I get it. Yeah. Anyway, Shaggy, I met a lot of you guys through Shaggy, a lot. And he is hanging up his professor's garb and his little hat, and his cape that he wears around all the time when nobody's looking. He's hanging it up, closing down his office. Uh, Deb, Mara, man, this is shit. This is lovely. Mara, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. Uh, my pharmacist decided to be a bitch. That's another story for another time. Anyway, um, we've been doing some stuff, a little bit of government stuff, and I haven't been really hard into that for a long time. But it turns out when you're fighting two wars at the same time, uh, they need help in a lot of places, and some of us that have experience, they'll call and we do little stuff. Nothing on the scale that we've done it before, and probably won't be, hopefully, and just trying to help out, just trying to be do our part, and so we've been working on that pretty hard, and it's kept us, more than busy. Anyway, Shaggy's hanging it up, and I just wanted to say a couple things. He's been my friend for a long, long time, and he still is, and he's still going to be. We talked for a long time today, and he's just going in a different direction with his, with his career and his family and stuff. And personally, I think he's going to miss, doing this really bad because he loves doing it. He loves doing the thing, but he's helped a lot of people, and one of the few people that I talk to all the time that I agree with, 98% of the time, which is good. That's a good thing. So, if you guys get a chance to say hello to him, I'll probably drag him on here to do a show once in a while and talk about stuff and, get him to growl and shit and pretend like he's in a different universe and shit like that. Probably will, but he is hanging it up. He has decided that for several reasons, and it's his story to tell. If you're doing Department of Interior, Virginia's under state of emergency wildfires, I am not doing any Department of Interior stuff. Everything that we're doing is international. So, and we're not doing a lot. I'm not doing a whole lot. I don't even know who's doing the trucking part of it. I'm not doing any. I did not want to do any of it, and that was offered to us, a week or two ago. Good evening, all. That was offered to us along with the work that we are doing. Oh, hey, by the way, we got to be able to get it to the airport. We got to be able to get it to the ports. You want to handle that too. And in the past, we did. That was one of our primary things. And this time around, I just said, no, 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 no. I don't have 10 extra people to put on it and to stop what we're doing, get out of what you're doing and get involved. So we're doing a little bit, like I said, we're doing our part, I think. And just to be honest, I wish we didn't have anything to do on that. Boy. Yeah. Anyway, 2 wars, no waiting. Getting kind of tired of all that. I know everybody else is too. So we're going to talk about rates tonight, and I wanted to get into it kind of, sort of at an entry level, but I want to go a little farther than that, and talk a little bit more about that. Trucker G, my brother from another mother, had me on his show last night, and he had another guy on there with us that is evidently a real big. He's sponsored by DAT, and you got way more than 10 people available to you. Well, thank you. I'm talking about office people. Anyway, he had me on there with this guy, and I knew from the very beginning that we weren't going to agree on a whole lot. And he kind of, when I said stuff like, I think people ought to get off the low boards, he immediately jumped back. I still do today, and I still think that this whole thing about we got to do this, we got to do that. People, 99%, and I don't know if Sparky's still on here. If he's not, raise your hand. But 99% of the people that are making it right now are making it because they know what to do. They know how to adjust, make adjustments. They know how to get involved. They know how to change when they need to change. And the one thing this guy said last night, he said, well, they want me to run here and run there, and I don't want to do that. Okay, well, go broke. I mean, that's good luck to you. I don't know what to say. But we're going to talk about rates. Here's something that'll probably, some of you will probably go, oh, Frank, you're full of shit. You probably do that most of the time anyway. But tonight especially. Rates really haven't changed much in the last several years. And I have to realize over and over and over again that I'm talking to people that have customers, and I'm talking to people that get out there and ride around on that spot market and chase freight, like that guy last night. That's his big thing. We provide you with so much information. And I said, oh, bullshit. You aren't telling anybody anything. You have pissed people off so much that now they're screaming about transparency and they're screaming about regulating you. I haven't been on a board in 3 years. I pray I never have to use one again. That's the truth. Anyway, rates really haven't changed a whole lot. When the spot market starts moving around, it moves around all the time. And about 2 years ago, some of the big box brokers got together and they said, hey, you know what? There's people out there that'll haul this shit for $1.25, and that's what we're going to pay them. Their rates didn't change. You know how I know that? Mine didn't. The rates for my freight haven't changed. When COVID hit, we didn't slow down. We kept doing what we were doing. We never missed a load. We never missed a beat. And my rates didn't change. And my rates to my carriers didn't change. A couple of things that changed during that period was some of the delivery points we went to because schools were closed for a while. And that's a big, mine have only gone up. Exactly. So, rates really haven't changed. And they're not a mystery, guys. They're really not a mystery. I mean, if you typed in a lane, while we're sitting here talking and asked me what the rate is for a dry van, I'll tell you. And then for a reefer, you add about 6%. And then for, a flatbed, about 11 to 12%. And you're pretty much there. Now, I know that's not exact and it's never going to be, but it's pretty damn close. Okay. The other thing that changed is once, these big brokers decided they just moved shit for $1.25, they started bouncing their salespeople out to all these customers, even the small customers and the medium-sized customers, and promising them that they move their freight cheaper than everybody else. Big shippers haven't changed their rates, and they don't give a shit about pennies as long as the tonnage is moved. See, you ought to be on here. Anyway, TQL knows it because I had to compete with them. Well, guess what? After all these years in this business and me being the pig-headed asshole that I am, I decided not to compete. I didn't want to. And I had one customer call me up, and I've told you about this customer over and over again. Well, if you want to keep hauling for us, you're going to have to drop your rates. Now, we've got one of the big companies in here now, and I'm going to tell you right now, their rates are cheaper than yours. And I got a boss I got to answer to, and if you want some of this freight, now you're going to have to drop your rates. I said, you know what? Let's do this. You go ahead and do what you got to do. My rates are going to stay the same for now. You go ahead and do what you got to do. I said, but if you take a lane away from me, when you call me in about a week or maybe 2 at the outside and tell me you need me back, my rates are going to go up 10% across the board. And now remember, 2 weeks from now, when those people let you down and don't pick your freight up, remember that I told you this. Remember, I said, in fact, I'm going to send you an email so that you and I both have a copy of this. So, when it happened, and it did, the big brokers let her down, didn't pick her freight up, didn't deliver it on time, left it on drop yards, lost some of it. When all that happened, she called, and I had 6 drop trailers in there. I pulled them out that day. Well, her big brokers don't have any drop trailers. So there goes your convenience. There goes, hey, man, I got this load. I really need you to cover it. I'm going to go ahead and put it on your trailer, even if you can't pick it up for a day or two. That all went away that day. It all went away. So when she did call and say, well, I'm going to need you to do this and that, and I got your email. Now, that's just bullshit. And I said, it's 10%. Take it or leave it. Go back to your big broker or try to find another carrier to do it for you. Me personally, you decided that all this work I've been doing for you for 16 years didn't mean anything. There's no such thing as loyalty. Jen, hey, buddy, just doing a drive-by to say hello. Hello, darling. Oh, wow, girl. You know what, Jen, now every time I see your name, I think about a motorboat. I don't know why. You ever get that? Like you live in a neighborhood and you see somebody across the street and you really don't know their name, and it might be like Red Car Guy. You call him Red Car Guy. Or you see somebody, like down the street and they go, treats his dog like shit. So you get names like, well, call it what you want to, but when I see your name now, I think about a motorboat. Thing. It's a happy thought. Just so you know. Anyway. So went back in there. I raised my rates because, she took the whole personal relationship type thing out of it, right? I didn't. She did. So I raised my rates, and then everything after that, instead of sitting at a receiver for 4 hours because they had a breakdown for nothing, now I'm charging her. If she doesn't turn my trailer every 2 days, I pull them out. I'm not going to leave them sitting there for free. So it changed the relationship. The only thing that changed my rates were the fact that she changed them. She made them go up. So the rates have pretty much stayed the same. I'll give you, for instance, I'm gonna use a couple of for instances here. This is the first one. A dry van load of freight from Nashville, Tennessee to, let's say, Baltimore, Maryland. Okay. Everybody around here pretty much knows dry freight van, that's $3.40 a mile plus fuel surcharge. Okay. So call it $4. That's what it is. I mean, that's just what it is. If somebody on the spot market, if they're charging less or charging more, then that rate moves around a little bit. But if you've been in the business for a while, like everybody that I see on here right now, if you've been in the business for a little while, you know these things already. You already know that. You already know that when you pick up the phone and call a broker, if that's what you're going to do, you already know what the rate is. You know what your cost is. And Gerald was talking about that last night. We're going to have this other guy back on here to talk about cost. He needs to get me on there if he wants to talk about cost because, he was talking about, well, this costs this much. He never even brought up taxes. And then when he did, he said, Oh, by the way, you got to pay 25% in taxes. Okay, Sparky, once again, raise your hand. If you're in the trucking business and you're actually paying at the end of the year 25% of your revenue in taxes, you need a new accountant today. You need to educate yourself and you need a new accountant. If you're paying 25% of your revenue to the federal government and not getting it back, you're a damn fool. Okay? You're crazy. You've lost your mind. Here's another thing he didn't figure into the equation. I'm going to use Sparky as an example again. I'm going to use you again, Sparky. I'm using you. You feel used? Do you feel like just somebody's just taking advantage of you? Because I am. Anyway, Sparky owns a bunch of trucks. You're fucked. That's right. Sparky owns a bunch of trucks. I don't even know how many he owns. Last time I talked to him on the phone, I think he had like 5 or 6 trucks that he owns, and he's got other ones running for him, but he owned like 5 of his own. So if you're going through this freight market now and you're dealing with the brokers and you're running the spot market like some fucking moron, you know, and you don't think you're making any money, but at the end of the week you pay your bills, you pay your drivers, you take care of your equipment, okay? You do all that stuff. Guess what else you do over a period of a year? You build up equity in your equipment and you establish business credit. Now, everybody pretty much knows, if you're in the game at all, that you can depreciate your equipment at 33.33% per year for 3 years. Okay? Everybody knows that, right? See, there's that other 25%. If you're paying that, then you're probably not depreciating your equipment, or you don't know how to. You don't understand how it works. So if Sparky's got 6 trucks, so let's round it off. Let's say 5. If he's got 5 trucks, every 12-month period, he can deduct 33.33% of the value of that truck. When he gets to the end of 3 years, and if you watch Sparky, he doesn't talk about it. He's not a big chit-chatter and talker, okay? If you watch him, about every 3 years, he'll put on Facebook a new truck he's got. There's a reason for that. It's not because he likes the color better, but he'll say that. It's not because it has shiny wheels on it, but he'll say that. It's not because it's got a new gizmo on it, because at the end of 3 years, he's written off all he can on that truck, and he wants to put another one in there to get a newer, bigger, better deal that he can write off for another 3 years, instead of sending that money to Washington, D.C. for nothing. So we're here to talk about rates. And I want to do, I'm trying to sort of build you guys up to where all these rates come from. It's crazy. At FedEx, we get to negotiate with FedEx on what we'll go down the road for, but other drivers think that rate is down, so they will go cheap because they think FedEx is losing money. You know, that's a trap. That's a trap that I think a lot of people get into. Well, if we don't try to help out, this old customer ain't going to be here anymore. And we've also seen a lot of trucking companies go out of business recently. Let me talk about that. This all has to do with rates, guys. When Yellow Freightways went out of business and took a couple of 1,000 trucks out of the market, it left a hole that somebody's going to fill. People already have, and they're already doing it. But here's what happened with FedEx. They were a publicly traded company. They were traded on a stock exchange. So most of the mutual funds, like the things I have invested in for my retirement over the years, mutual funds, will have 30 or 35 or 40 different companies that they invest in. And what those mutual fund managers do constantly is they look at I say this to you guys all the time. You constantly look at the bottom 20% of your customers, the bottom 20% of your business, and you constantly try to move that to the top. Move it to the top. There's only a couple of ways you can do that. That's either to change your lanes, change your rates, or call them up and say goodbye and replace them with something else. So in the stock market, those mutual fund managers are doing the exact same thing. They're looking at all the companies in their portfolio, and if they got Yellow Freightways and they look down there and Yellow's only generating 3 or 4% profit, because let me give you a hint. Yellow Freightways is playing with your money on the stock market, just like the teacher unions do, just like the trucking unions do, just like the big corporations do. You remember a few years when Enron went belly up? When they went belly up, they took out the teachers' retirement funds in about 3 states. Remember that? That's because all these retirement funds had invested in Enron, and when they went belly up, they lost their investment, so their money went away. Same thing happens to Yellow Freightways, okay? Yellow Freightways is playing with money, playing with money, playing with money, playing with money, okay? They're playing on the stock market, they're playing here, they're playing there, they're doing this, they're doing that. And these mutual funds managers are looking at them and they're going, wait a minute, these guys are only generating about 4.5% revenue, you know, they're not worth messing with. And they call them up and they go, you got 30 days to get up to 8 to 12% or your ass is gone. Well, they can't do it. They can't do it because you can't get blood out of a turnip. And the guys, the executives, trust me, the guys at Yellow Freightways, those executives, they were making a killing. Nobody else was. Their stockholders were not, but they were. So when the mutual funds started pulling them out and kicking them out and pulling their money out, pretty soon Yellow Freightways is not in the money business anymore. They don't have that cash flow now to invest and play on the stock market and play on investments and buy properties and buy this and buy that. So investors start looking at that thing and going, hey, you know what? Those guys are burning fuel and paying truck drivers and burning up equipment, and they're just blowing through money left and right at about 4%. If we shut them down tomorrow, they got billions of dollars worth of equipment and property that we can sell and get our money back. And that's what happened. Sparky say exactly. They have to go with more tricks on how to leave money in corporate bank accounts and not to be taxed. Start a leasing company, lease your equipment to the other company. Yeah, everybody does it. I do that. On investment, though, Elon Musk AI technology is a great investment. I've gotten 40% returns 3 months in a row. Good tip. Good tip. Very good tip. Anytime you invest in tech stocks or healthcare, you're going to be okay. You're going to be all right. So, why would a guy, anybody here, whoever many is listening to my voice right now, why would anybody here invest your savings, invest your hard work, invest your labor, invest, your credit, okay, the credit you've worked to build up into a company, your company, or somebody else's trucking company that is going to yield you 7%. When you can buy a mutual fund, anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You can buy a mutual fund and sit at home and make 13 to 16%. Lawrence, like Sparky says, if you play around and you're smart enough, you can buy 40%. It won't last forever. 40% for a year or two, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And nobody calls you in the middle of the night and goes, there ain't no parking places in here and you suck, you son of a bitch. Nobody does that. I've had a Prudential Base account for 17, 18 years. Nobody's ever called me from there and called me a liar. Nobody's ever called me from there and threatened to leave my account somewhere on the side of the road. Nobody's ever threatened to do that. In fact, after 4 o'clock on a Friday, you can't even get those guys on the phone. Shit, they're gone. You see what I'm saying? So why would you invest in a trucking company making 6% or 7% when you can invest your money in that company and sit at home and make 16%? I haven't made less than 16%, even with the down economy since 2008. And during that period, I still made 6 to 7%. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? We're getting good money on direct freight, but can't pair it up with bullshit to get back to direct. That's hard to do. That's the leaving your account on the side. Yeah, I made that up. And I think that's everybody in this business is having that issue. And you have to get enough money out of your customers that when you get to the other end, you can get back. You have to do that. Trucker G went down to Florida this week and he got really mad. Well, they're not paying anything. Well, guess what, bud? I grew up in Florida. My dad had his trucking company down there for years and years and years. I'm used to Florida. And here's the thing about Florida. It's not that the brokers are fucking you. They do. But that's not it. Okay. It's not that the shippers are fucking you. That's not it. Florida doesn't manufacture anything. They never have. Years ago they had a big citrus industry, and that was good money. That was really good money, but it was seasonal. Okay. And then they have the produce industry down there. That's only 3 months out of the year. Other than that, if you look around Florida, there's no industry. There's a little bit of import business. That's about Todd Allen. What's up, brother? There's a little bit of that. There's no freight down there. It's a consumptive state, like New York, like Denver, Colorado. Do I need to keep making a list for you guys? You know where they are. There's a whole lot more freight going in there to feed people, get them tennis shoes, get them clothes, get them car parts, do all that. There's a lot more freight going in there than there is coming out. It's an imbalance. One of the places that I found to be healthy freight wise year round, pretty much all the time, is Chicago. People get mad at me for using these terms, and I don't give a fuck who gets mad. But anyway, there's head haul and back haul freight coming out of Chicago, but most of those are all at head haul rates because there's a lot of freight there coming out. A lot of freight going in, a lot of freight coming out. The only reason to leave the Midwest right now for freight is to go home. My best and most consistent freight is Midwest. Yes. And I told this to the guys on Gerald's channel last night. Stay in the Midwest. I said, draw yourself a line and stay in the Midwest, and you'll make money. Even if you're playing around on the spot market, you'll make money. But if you go to New York, you're not going to get big money coming out. You can get on Facebook and go, yeah, people in New York, ain't some bitch out there is fucking me. It's been that way for 50 years that I know of. Yeah, you go down there, goddamn Miami, and then somebody want me to run for $1. You're lucky to get $1 coming out of there, stupid. But that's the broker's fault. Yeah, I ain't broker any transparency. Yeah, you dumb asshole. Why'd you go down there for $2? What, you stupid? Hi, Frank. I'm JJ. I talk to Trucker G and Mrs. D. JJ, I know who you are. I see you on their page all the time, sir. I see you on there. But thanks for coming in and joining us. I'm glad to have you. Glad to have you. Anyway, talking about rates, the rates really haven't changed very much. I mean, if I could print you off and send you a rate matrix, it's a couple years old. I'd have to update it, in certain lanes, in certain places. But what you're going to find out about rates is they move around, okay? Right now, today, you've got the automotive industry on strike. That's about 150,000 trucks that are out of work. So what do they do when they're out of work? They go to the spot market and book broker freight so they can keep their trucks moving and keep their drivers employed. They don't care what it pays. Lay it again. Always, I love it when the voices come. There you go. There's 150,000 trucks out of work right now. 8 people. I'm usually here by myself. Nice. I've got 78 people on, but I'm on a whole bunch of different channels that you probably can't see. So there's 150,000 trucks that are in your market right now playing around on the spot market, and and they're hauling freight for nothing because they don't care. Because as soon as their contracts come out, and I understand they've made some tentative agreements in the last couple of days between the workers and the corporations, and if that happens, it'll fire back up, and it'll probably be after Christmas before it gets going real hot and heavy again. But those trucks will all come back out of the spot market, go back into their regular deal, and they won't bother you anymore. But right now they're bothering you. Also, it's the end of produce season. Produce season just pretty much ended. So that's another 150,000 trucks that are jumping into this market right now, into the spot market. Which leads me to my thing that I say every week. Why in the world do you think that you can get up in the morning, buy a truck, buy a trailer, get some insurance, get your authority, and get up and turn on DAT and live there? Build a trucking company hauling nothing but spot market freight. What makes you think you can do that with all those other influences out there? Not to mention crooked brokers, double brokering, backstabbing, all the fraud going on there right now that DAT doesn't seem to care about. They've been asked, what are you going to do to fix some of this fraud? And they go, hey, that's not our job. Our job is to provide a service where you pay $300 a month and you can go on there and get loads from brokers off our load board. We're not police and we're not the DOT. That's not our job. In other words, if you got $300 to pay them every month, they don't give a shit if you're a crook or not. They don't care if you screw all their other customers or not. Not their place. I hate hearing this. I'm old school. Here's the one thing I hate. And if I ever hear somebody working for me or around me say it, they're gone that day. That ain't my job. Well, get the fuck out. Hey, milk is paying good. Shit, yeah. It doesn't pay all that good, but it is there 365 days a year for the last 24 years. There you go. I'm a consistency guy. I just like to be regular, okay? I'm as famous right now as I ever want to be. So if it's regular these days, I'm a happy guy. Happy as I can be. So when it comes to rates, we can talk about these rates all you want to. They pretty much stay the same. I couldn't give you, and I don't think anybody in the world can, DAP pretends like they do, with this last 30 days and last 60 days and all that shit. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean a damn thing today. When you pick up that phone, if that broker says, yeah, I'll pay you $800, we've been moving that for 2 weeks. It doesn't matter on their little statistics sheet on the side of the page. It doesn't really matter what it says over there, does it? Doesn't have any effect whatsoever on what you're going to get paid or what you think you can ask for, does it? So the bottom line on rates is get off the broker boards. Now, let's assume that I'm talking to a room full of really smart people that only use the broker boards to get back home to their regular freight or to get to their next good load or their next load with somebody that they have a relationship. Okay? Everybody out there has a load board. Everybody out there, all the big companies have a load board. One of the best ones that I like, okay, is Schneider. Oh yeah, they're good. Their freight is good. It's very consistent. They have a lot. They're in a lot of different industries that are very stable. They're a smart company. They don't go after spot freight. They don't go after fly by night companies. They're in the automotive business. They're in the paper business. They're in the manufacturing businesses, like hard stuff like steel and appliances, stuff like that. That's where they put their attention and that's where they put their equipment. They have a load board. You can go on there as an owner operator or as a company owner and get qualified to haul their freight and get on there and get that freight. Those loads never see DAT. They never go on DAT. Never do. You'll never see them there. Okay. Now, what I just told you about Schneider, they're one of my favorites, but everybody out there, every big company out there has the same thing. Some of their rates aren't as high as Schneider, and some of their other stuff's not as high as Schneider, but they have the same thing. And those loads never get on DAT. They never go on DAT. They never do. They're not there. The only shit on DAT is junk freight, shit freight that nobody wanted to haul, and it winds up there. What's up, everyone? Werner is good too. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. JB Hunt is good too. So, we hate those guys. We hate those guys. We hate those guys. But right now, they are all of them, every single one of them. Werner, JB Hunt, all those guys, Schneider, they're begging for trucks. Begging for trucks. If you go sign up there, they will keep your ass busy all day, every day. And they're good at it. I got a friend over in Charlotte that's got 10 trucks. That's his thing. That's his company. He's got 10 trucks. And he's been a dedicated carrier for Schneider for years, probably 12 years, 13 years. That's all he does. Most of the time he pulls their trailers, those big orange trailers. He pulls them all over the place. And he's happy. He's got a very nice home and some cows and shit, and 4x4s. His kids are grown now, but he's a happy guy. He's made a very good living over the years. His drivers are happy. They usually run out and back off on the weekends. If they want to take 2 or 3 days off, he doesn't care. He doesn't bitch at them and try to drag them back to work. Rates are pretty much back to normal. It's high fuel costs that's killing it, not the brokers. Once the fuel comes down, the drivers will make more than they're making now. Or you could be charging them your fuel surcharge like you're supposed to. But we've had shows about that over and over and over about fuel surcharge. And then somebody will call me and go, yeah, this fuel is killing me. And I go, well, you need to be charging for your fuel surcharge. Yeah, they won't pay it to me. That's when you tell them to go fuck a cat and hang up the phone and move on. They're collecting it. Trust me, they're collecting it. They are collecting it. Yeah, they don't give me that. They told me they do. Who runs your company, them or you? Is that the only place you got to go get freight? Are you that pitiful? Is it that just that bad? You know, guys. You know, one of the reasons Shaggy's getting out of this is because he got to a point he felt like nobody was listening to him. I don't feel that way. I think people are listening to me. I know you guys are. I know you guys in my group are. And I know that when you get out there on the road, or when I run into you, or when I get to spend time with you, yeah, I know that you are. And I know that people are listening to you. And I know that anybody that's ever made a dime in this business has a kind of sort of a karma thing to put a little bit back. And that's why I'm here. That's what I'm doing. But rates haven't changed that much. Everybody that's on here has already said it tonight. And I'll take the word of the people in my group, the people on my team. I'll take their word over the people on Facebook any day of the week. Anytime I see those comments on Facebook, I go, yeah, Jesus, there's a truck I can buy pretty cheap in a month or two. It's like my buddy down in Georgia, Paul, says, you know, if you want to get in the trucking business, you don't really know what you're doing. If you've got a lot of money, you can be in the business for about a year. Now, if you've got a lot of money and really good credit, you can be there about 2 years. That's a fact. We're on year 2 of when the spot market decided to close in on the independents. That's where we are. That's where we are. You want to make a difference? I saw a guy want to start up. He thought it was a really good idea, and he was going to start up yet another guy. He's going to start up a strike. Okay, he's going to go on strike, and he decided to put it on there. You know, we're going to go on strike December 1st. And when he did, every comment after that was, yeah, you're stupid. Why are you going on strike, you dumbass? You don't even know how to get your fuel surcharge. Every comment was a shot. And after reading about 30 comments, I said, you know what? It's no wonder you can't get these people to stick together. It's no wonder you can't get these people in this industry to do anything together. So that's a good thing and a bad thing, because people in our industry are independents. I mean, they even call us that. You know, we're independent trucking companies. They even call us. Our life, where we live, what we do is in the little gray areas, in the dark areas that the big companies don't want to mess with, or can't, or don't know how. I had a load going out here, 4 or 5 loads a day a couple of years ago. It was going up to Louisville and back, paid really, really, really good. And I had trouble getting some of these trucking companies around here to do it because the load was a little bit heavy. They said, my drivers will pull out of there and go over to exit 2 in Kentucky and pull straight up on that scale. Every single one of them. And that's just the way it is. So he couldn't take $1,000 load going 188 miles. He couldn't take those from me because his drivers weren't smart enough to go up Highway 31 and go around the scale. That's the industry that we're in. That's who we are. So if you want to know what your rates are going to be, they're pretty much the same as they have been. And when you bid rates to a customer, you know, if you have any trouble with that, you know, call me up, send me a message, whatever. I'll help you with it. They solicit rates in different ways. Some of them will send out an RFP, request for proposal. They'll send it out, and they'll have all their lanes on there. If it's a big company, they'll have thousands of lanes on there. And they'll send it out, and they want you to put your rates on there. Some of them will say with fuel surcharge. Some of them will say all included. And when they do that, I put at the bottom, these are all included like you asked, but they're subject to change every Tuesday when the fuel surcharge changes. And I do get that phone call. Yeah, once you put a rate in with us, it's good for 6 months. I go, well, then I can't haul your shit. Good luck to you. Nobody's that stupid. Nobody's that stupid. Get somebody else to haul your shit. I don't want to talk to you. You're an idiot, and I don't want to talk to you. Because the only rate now I'm able to tender to you is a rate that might include fuel going up as much as $1, just to roll the dice. And the good news might be is if it went down $1 during that time, and I made the difference in profit. But here's the deal. If you're not competitive with your rates, they're not going to call you up anyway. So it don't matter. You have to be competitive to get a phone call. Now, do you have to be number one? Do you have to be the cheapest guy? No. And you better not be, because if you are, you're leaving money on the table. You need to be about call number 3 or 4. You need to charge the rate that you need to charge to be profitable. Otherwise, there's no point in doing the business, right? Remember what I told you a few minutes ago about how the stock market works and how profitability in the companies work, how it works. If you're not profitable, you're not going to be here. So if you put in a $1.30 rate on a load that other people have got a rate in there for $2.56, what happens when you don't pick that load up? Because you can't one day, because you've got a blown tire, your driver quit, or whatever reason, because you're hauling something else. They go to the guy with $2.56 a mile. That's who they go to. That's the guy you want to be. You don't want to be that first guy. You're not going to make up, $1 a mile in rates by getting more freight at a cheaper rate. You're just going to go broke faster. You're just going to hit rock bottom sooner than you ordinarily would. So rates really aren't a mystery, guys. They're really not a mystery. They're, if you're dealing with a broker, you can figure that broker's making, these days, it used to be higher, but it's not anymore. You can figure that broker's making between 10 and 15%. And you see all these things about, brokers are keeping 70%. No, if they were keeping 70%, that would mean you're hauling freight for 28 cents a mile. No, they're really not. Most of the legitimate brokers operate at about 10, 12%, 15 if they get lucky on a good lane and get a good rate. That's about where they are. So when you go to haul that freight, or when you see a customer next door to them or whatever, and you want to go in there and bid that freight, you pretty much know where you need to be. I mean, you pretty much know what the rates are. And if you hit it, if you go in there and bid a direct rate to a customer that's been using brokers, and you bid it 5% cheaper than the broker did, okay, 5%, you're still saving that company. 10% of their revenue, and they'll love you for that. And you're still making 10% more than you did dealing with the broker. So why wouldn't you do that? Well, God, Frank, I would never think about it that way. You mean I can be making money in this business? Yes, you can be making money in this business. You can't be making money in this business if you listen to the wrong people. You're not going to make any money in this business if you listen to people that are paid by DOT to tell you how great they are. I don't have a sponsor. Actually, I am my own sponsor. People that believe brokers are keeping more than 25% must think Walmart is stupid. Yeah, and everybody else that deals with them. Everybody. Yeah. And there are some brokers out there in certain lanes at certain times of the year, certain days of the week, that they get more than that. But then, and I've told you guys for years and years that J.B. Hunt used to have a thing on the East Coast that on Fridays they dropped their rates by 30% on Fridays. The reason they did that was because they always had so much equipment over there on a Friday, they had to get it out there to keep those drivers moving over the weekend, to keep them from quitting. Instead of being laid over in New Jersey every weekend, they drop the rate, get them out of there, and then Monday morning their rates would go back up again. Yeah. So there were shippers over there just wait till Friday to put it on a J.B. Hunt truck. Well, they saved a bunch of money. Yeah. See, it works like that. On the spot market, it works that way because the leftover shit that fell into the DAT and the truckers, truck stop and all that leftover shit, it went up and down too. And a broker knows if you're sitting in Carlstadt, New Jersey on a Friday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they know damn good and well you'll haul freight for $1. They do. They know that. And a lot of guys will get real tough and they'll go, I ain't going to do it. Fuck them. I'll just deadhead or I'll sit there. But about 8 out of 10 won't say anything. They'll just go pick the load up and haul it back to get their fuel money. Same thing coming out of Miami. Same thing coming out of Denver. Same thing coming out of Reno, Nevada. Same thing coming out. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't be stupid. Stay out of there. Pretty simple. Unless you can get enough money to go there, to come out, to deadhead out of there to the next good market, to the next decent load, then you shouldn't go there. And therein lies the problem. Okay? Therein lies the problem. You'll have some competition with people that do have freight coming out of there. Okay? That do have freight coming out, and they will go in for 30 or 40% cheaper than you, 30 or 40 cent cheaper than you will. And that's your competition. But those loads run out pretty quick. And then you're left with the other stuff that's still there. It's still there. So you look at the market, you figure out where you can get in and out and still make your money. And that's where you go. And then you start to develop relationships in those lanes. You know where you can sleep. You know where you can find a parking space. You know where you can get fuel cheaper. Good fuel that won't clog up your injectors and fug up your motor and all that shit. You know where you can get a good shower and it's clean. You know where you can get a little something to eat and, all that stuff. You get in those lanes and you stay in those lanes and you build relationships and a rapport in those lanes. And you, at the end of the week, will make more money than the guy. Yeah, I got hit a home run the other day. I got $4 going to Miami. He's running for $2. 4 down, 0 out. What does that equal? $2. That's what he's running for. $2. Yeah, they paid me $4 to go there and fuck them. So there you go. Never, ever, 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 get bad information from people that don't have your best interest at heart or plan to make money off of you. Bad information is worse than no information at all. You're better off just not listening to people and figuring it out yourself. You're way better off to do that. So, short of giving you rates from point to point to point to point, which I'm happy to do. And if you're on the spot market, that's going to move around quite a bit. But if you're not, if you're dealing with direct customers, it won't. It'll stay right there. The only thing that moves around with my customers is the fuel surcharge. Up and down, up and down. And here's the thing about fuel surcharge. I'm not going to get into a big fuel surcharge thing. Fuel surcharge is mandated by the federal government, okay? There's a program out there that actually tracks costs in 4 different zones in the United States. And you can look it up on the Department of Energy website. Every Tuesday it changes. It updates every Tuesday. And that's the fuel surcharge. Well, guess what? That's figured on. Okay, that fuel surcharge on there is figured on the gallons that you buy. But when you charge a rate to a customer, your fuel surcharge to your customer is based on what? Miles, not gallons, because that customer has no way of knowing how many or how few gallons you're going to burn going in and out of a place. They don't know. They don't know if you get 5 miles to the gallon or 12. They don't have any idea. I never go to Florida without getting paid up front for coming out and inflate my rate. You have to or you'll go broke. Anyway, the fuel surcharge thing is, guys like Sparky, people like that never bring it up. You never hear him talk about it because it's based, the federal program is based on your gallons, but the rate that you charge your customers based on miles. So there actually gets to a point, if you do the math, stay with me here. Shane Ferris knows this like the back of his hand. There's actually a point where it tips over and you're actually making money on the fuel. That's why most of these companies and most of these guys, been in business for a long time, don't care. They don't care. They don't give a shit. Fuel's $4 a month. Okay. They don't care. They made $1,000 last week just on fuel. On their fuel surcharge. So if you're not charging that, if you're letting some broker bully you out of your fuel surcharge, he thinks you're stupid and he's right. That's your money. That's your money. There have been so many lawsuits all over the United States over the years. So many lawsuits of drivers suing companies for keeping their fuel surcharge because it's supposed to go to them. Every single one that's ever been taken to court, the driver won. the driver one. There have been trucking companies that were put out of business because of that. They didn't pay their owner operators their fuel surcharge. They were keeping it, or keeping part of it, or keeping half of it, or whatever. And the owner operators all got together and sued them for the backup, and the companies couldn't come up with enough money to pay them. Even though they've been stealing it from them for 10 years. Couldn't come up with enough to pay them. So the rates are kind of what they are, guys. I think I've covered this, but I'll kind of break it down a little bit. Do I think rates are going to change on the spot market at the first of the year and get better? Yeah, sure I do. But then they'll go back down again. Sure. The rates with your customers, your dedicated rates, your contract rates, your irregular route freight. I've given you my 3 ways to make money speech 100 times. Dedicated, semi-dedicated, and then irregular route, or transactional, as I call it. Okay. Those are the 3 ways to make money. All right. So are the rates going to come back so that you can start making money again and not have to socialize regulation with these brokers so you make money? Of course it will. When enough of you go out of business, sure it will. Then it'll go right back down again because you're not in control of that market. They are. But if you have rates with customers, if you have steady customers, or if you have a steady force with a 3PL like Schneider or somebody like that, and you're doing freight for them year in and year out, day in and year out, no, those rates are not going to change. But they're fine right now. And those people are making money. They're making a profit. They're staying in business. They're buying new trucks every 3 years because they can deduct the trucks. They can take their depreciation on their equipment. They're buying new trucks every 3 years. Their drivers are real happy about that. They like new trucks. They like them. So they buy these new trucks, and they're staying in business because of that. We're not here, us small and medium guys, okay? We are not here to compete with CR England. We are not here to compete with Swift. Those people are not our competition. That's not who our competition is. Our business model is completely different than theirs. Completely different. We're not in the same business. The only similarity is that we own trucks and we move freight from point A to point B. Outside of that, we're in a whole different universe when it comes to business theory, how we practice, how we set up our operations, and how we determine our profitability. And I like it. I like being independent. I like being able to form my business the way I want to so that it fits me and makes money for my family. I like being able to do different things and get into different lines of work. I've hauled flowers. I've hauled milk. I've hauled automotive freight. You name it. Over the years, I've been in this a long time. I've hauled pretty much a little bit of everything. I like being able to work among different industries and make different amounts of money and run different kinds of freight. I like doing it. I enjoy this business a lot more than I would enjoy being in the LTL business like Yellow was, or being in the line haul freight business like Swift is. Dealing with the big corporations like Walmart, and guys like that. I don't want to be in that business. I don't like that business. To me, that's just, man, that's some boring shit and not very profitable. They're only profitable because they got 8,000 trucks. 8,000 trucks at 10 cents a mile per truck per day. That's a lot of money. A lot of cash flow. I'm not in that business. I don't want to do that. They're all saying in the trucking business, you can make money 2 ways. You can run 4,000 miles for $1 a mile. And at some point, you will make money doing that. At some point, once all of your fixed expenses are paid for the month, your truck payment, your insurance, all those things that are there every day before you even turn that key on that you have to pay, once they're paid for, okay, you can run freight for nothing than your variable expenses. That's fuel and the driver. Fuel and the driver. You can haul freight for 85 cents a mile and make profit after all your fixed expenses are paid for the month. So the old saying, you can either run 4,000 miles a week at $1 a mile, or you can run 2,000 miles a week at $2 a mile. It's the same thing at the end of the week. I call that outrunning the cheap. Yeah, I do too. I do too. But there are people out there that make a living. There's a little guy right now here in downtown Nashville. He's been in business for years and years, and I've tried to buy his company 3 times. He won't sell it to me. He's about 80. But he runs teams out to California and back, and he runs cheap, 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 cheap. Hell, you can't compete with him. I've tried to bid against him with some of these companies around here. He's so damn cheap you can't even get your foot in the door. But he runs those trucks 5,000 miles a week. He gets his fixed expenses paid in about the first 8 to 10 days of the month. And then for the whole rest of the month, that truck is running on nothing but fuel and driver pay. That's what he's got. That's what he's got. He runs for 3 weeks a month at fuel and driver pay, whatever that is. $1, $1.25, $1.40. I don't know. But that's all it cost him. Once he gets his fixed expenses paid for the month, he's done. He's done. He's running on variable after that. He's got new trucks. He's got new trailers. Nice equipment. Really nice. Always has had. Pays his drivers kind of average. He's not a big hot rod deal. But his drivers all like it because they go to California and back and get 3 days off. California and back and get 3 days off. You see how that works, guys? You see how he structures his business? You see how his business operates to make money? And most of us would take a look at a glance, okay? At a glance and go, wait a minute. This guy's running to California and back for $1.60, $1.70 a mile. And then put a little fuel on top of that. He's running out there. Shit, man, I can't afford to do that. Yes, you can. You sure can. If you do it every week. Sure you can. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. You'll break even for the first 10 days of the month, maybe 11 or 12. Depends on how much fuel is. You'll break even for that first week and a half. But the next 2.5 to 3 weeks is all profit because all you're paying is driver pay and fuel. Think about it. Think about it. He's got quite a deal going. He doesn't do anything but go to California and back from Nashville. He's got 3 customers. I know who they are. I know very well who they are. He's got 3 customers, and they love him, and he hauls their freight to California, Los Angeles, and back every week, and that's all he does. And I will tell you that he's running out there and back for about $1.80. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. Sometimes, when the rates move around, the fuel surcharge goes up a little bit. He's very smart about his fuel surcharge. Sometimes when that goes up a little bit more, he's around $2 at $2.05, something like that. Nice. He thinks he's ready to buy a house in Belize getting down there with Jess when he starts making that kind of cash. Is he hauling produce out of California? No, he's dry vans. Mostly imports. Mostly imports is what he hauls back. But all his fixed expenses are paid in the first week and a half. They're done. He's done. He's running for $1.10 cost. If that, because he gets his fuel surcharge, see? He doesn't run without fuel surcharge because he's not stupid. He gets his fuel surcharge. So that brings that number, down even more. See, right now about 60 cents, 62 cents a mile. So you see what I'm getting at, guys? He's running those trucks out there and back, and for 3 weeks out of the month, really all he's got is driver pay. That's all it cost him to run them out there and back. A little bit of maintenance here and there, but he covers that in the first week. So you can do it. You can play with your rates that way. But what really makes the difference is how you see those rates and where you see your profit. If you get up every morning and you think, well, if I'm going to get in this business at the end of every quarter, I've got to pay 25% of my revenue in taxes. Well, if you're in the trucking business and you're actually paying 25%, you're a fool. You're an idiot. And yeah, some of the write-offs have come down in the last several years. They're still there. Unless you're an idiot, they're still there. I mean, I could do a month's worth of classes just on tax structure. Okay. But they're still there. They're still there. And you've got your equipment that you are making an investment in. That's a capital investment. If you're an LLC, you've got your capital investment. Now, whether you decide to cash in on that every 3 years and get newer equipment so that you can take the depreciation on that and deduct that. That's up to you. You're still talking about 33 and a third percent of your money. Either it goes out and comes back, or it doesn't go out at all. You see what I mean? See, a lot of guys keep the older trucks and just keep running them. And yeah, sure, they lose their depreciation, but they get to keep that tax money too. So, it turns into the same thing. And I don't want to get people mad. I like to try to get along with everybody and get on. But if you bring me on your show and there's a guy on there that's trying to sell people on how wonderful Dad is, I'm going to cut that motherfucker up. Because that's how I ride. It's been an hour. I appreciate you guys. Next week we'll come with it. I'm going to try to get Shaggy back on here. I love the guy. He's my buddy. He's going into a different line of work now, going to do a different thing, and I bless him. I wish him well. I hope he does good on that. And he and I are going to stay in touch. And he's going to leave his page up on Facebook, the Shaggy Consulting thing. And if I know him and you guys know him, he'll have to get on there and say his piece once in a while, because that's him. That's what he does. But man, I just wish him well. I hope he does really, really well. And I think he will, because he's a pretty hard driving guy. Anyway, Tuesday night, all right? Have a great week. Diet Recruit TV. I appreciate you, brother. You guys have a great, great, great week. Help somebody. Try to help somebody. Spend a minute and help somebody, because that's what we do, okay? Help somebody. Take good care of it. We got to look after each other, brothers and sisters, because if we don't, nobody else is going to. The government damn sure ain't sitting over the hill waiting to come down the hill and save us all. They're not going to do it. The big companies are not going to save us all. Broker transparency is not going to make any difference. Most of the people making money don't give a fuck, because they don't haul most of that freight anyway. You with me? Have a great week. If you need anything, holler at us. Put us a message in the room there, and we'll try to get back to you as fast as we can. Try to help you out. Bella, my darling. I'll be helping Shaggy in the morning shake my head. He needs all help he can get, honey. That's all I can tell you. I love you guys. I mean it. I love this group. I love this spirit of this thing, this group. We got to keep this thing moving. We got to keep this thing going. Have a great week. And if you need me, holler.